I've officially started. What is my scarf doing? Hello. It is. I honestly have no idea when I talked to you last. This is a recurring theme. Hello. It's been. Oh. I really hope you can't hear my very squeaky board. Hello, everybody. My name is Kelsey, and we're about to get very, very nerdy with a secret TBR. So this is my first secret TBR of ever, actually. I've never done a secret TBR. So this is the first one of 2020 of hopefully a few that I'm going to be doing this year. But I've seen this idea floating around beginning of last year, and I wanted to do it, but it was too late in the year, so we're doing it this year instead. And that is just picking some booktubers and reading something that is their favorite from the year before. So I have 6 booktubers, I think, and I have gone through their favorites of 2020 list, and I am picking one book per booktuber, and hopefully by the end of this vlog I will have read some really good things that I would not have read normally if I hadn't done this project. So I feel like it's kind of pretty self-explanatory, where I've just picked one favorite of all of the booktubers. I did record myself watching all of the videos, but that footage is lost. So I'm just gonna tell you the books that I ended up picking. I have them all like written down here, because I went like crazy. Like I've got lists. Ooh, I'm a little crazy. But the first booktuber that I picked was Lisa from Remarkably Lisa. She does a lot of romance books. She really got into historical fiction romance in 2020, so I was looking for a good romance read. So the book that I picked for her is going to be A Princess in Theory by Alyssa Cole. This is the first in her Reluctant Royals series. I've had this on my list for a long time, and I'm excited to get started. So this follows our main characters, Naledi and Thabiso. She is kind of struggling. She's got lots of jobs. She's also in grad school, just trying to like make it by, and she keeps getting these emails from an African prince, and she thinks that they're scam, but it's not. There's actually an African prince, Prince Thabiso, who when they were super young were actually engaged, and so he's come to the US to find her, and then she mistakes him for just a normal guy when they first meet, and then it's kind of like he's in disguise for most of this book. But it sounds great, and I love romances about royals. So this is actually one that I've had on my list personally, so when I saw her list of, I think, 10 she had, this is the one that stuck out the most. So this is the one I'm going to be reading for her. A good, fun romance book. The next booktuber is my lovely friend Serena from A Wandering Mind. She had 5 favorites, and she, like, and I have read a lot of the same things, so there's only 2 books that I haven't read from her, and so I decided to go with her favorite thriller, and that is The Good Daughter by Karen Slaughter. This is like a girl in a small town, and like 28 years before the start of this book, her mom and sister end up dying, and then like it's been 28 years, and so like there's another murder that's very similar to that. So this is the one I'm going to pick for her. This cover scares me, but I'm actually excited to get into this one. It's going to be an interesting thriller, and I'm ready for it. The next one that I picked is Michelle from Books Michelle. I was looking at her list, and I was like going in hoping that I wasn't going to get like a super thick historical fiction, but she has on her list The Bear and the Nightingale, which I'm already planning on reading in January anyway, so I decided to go ahead and go with this one because it's like the first one she mentioned, and I've seen it a lot of places. So, and it would also help me out because I'm hoping this vlog will not take too long to complete. So I'm hoping by already adding something that I'm planning on reading anyway into this, it would be great. Plus I haven't actually started that one. I'm planning on starting that one next week, I think, maybe in a few days. I'm not entirely sure, but soon. So that was my pick from Michelle. And then we have Becca from Becca and the Books. I love her channel so much. I was really hoping to get something maybe for Tuna Sworn in this list, but she had a lot of really thick fantasies. But her number one is already kind of on my list, and I just decided to go with it because she actually did like number them in order of her favorites. So she ended the video with her like favorite book, and the other ones did not do that. So I'm going with her number one, which is Crescent City by Sarah J Maas. I have never read a Sarah J Maas book. I think she's going to be an author that I'm really, really going to enjoy. But like I said, I've never read anything by her, so I have no idea what I'm getting into. But this is adult urban fantasy. I've got the audiobook on Audible, so I'm ready to go. This cover is stunning. Like, I had to get my hands on a copy because so pretty. Like, I'm hesitant, but I'm also excited, and I'm just gonna hope for the best when we get into this one. But that's my pick for Becca. The next one is Maddie from Book Browsing Blog. She's someone that I really enjoy watching their videos, but her reading taste partially aligns with mine, so I wasn't quite sure what I was getting into with her because she reads a lot of books that I think that I would enjoy, but then she also reads a lot of really random books that I would have never heard of. And the book that I'm picking for her is one that she didn't number hers, but she had two that were like her favorites of the year, and I went with the one that sounded like nothing I'd ever read before, and it just kind of grabbed my attention, and that is Mr. Penumbra's 24-Hour Bookstore by Robin Sloan. This is basically what it sounds like. It's about this guy who's really into the tech world, and he loses his job for some reason. I don't remember exactly what happened. Oh, the Great Recession. So, like, the world is struggling. And so then he starts working as a clerk in this bookstore, but there's, like, a subsect of people who come in the middle of the night that check out books. And it's, like, secret society-esque. I'm not entirely sure, but it just grabbed my attention, and I couldn't think of anything else on this list but this book. So this is the one that we're gonna go with. Totally out of my comfort zone, have no idea what I'm getting into, but I'm excited nonetheless. And the last person that I am reading something that they loved in 2020 is actually from a Frolic Through Fiction. She and I align so much in our reading tastes. Like, she's the aesthetic I aspire to be, and she just really likes mythology and fantasy, and I think our reading tastes are very, very similar. And so she had a lot of things on this list. She had Crescent City on this list. She had Fortuna Swan, well, the second in the Fortuna Swan series. A couple other books that, like, it was really hard for me to narrow this down because a lot of the books on here either I've read or I'm interested in. But the one that I've decided to go with, because I'm not sure if I'm ever going to get around to it unless I, like, force myself into it, is The Fifth Season by N.K. Jemisin. This is the first in her Broken Earth series? I think that's right. Yeah, the Broken Earth trilogy. And no one can tell me what this book is about. And even on the back, like, that's the synopsis. It's super, super short, and it tells you nothing. So I want to go into this because I don't know what's happening, and I want to know what's happening. But it also sounds like a really great fantasy that revolves around kind of like maybe the weather or the environment and Earth, very like nature magic. I have no idea. I don't understand. But this sounds really good. A lot of people have been hyping this up for a very long time. It's been on my list. I'm gonna give it a chance. So these are the books that I'm planning on reading in this vlog. I have no idea how long this is going to take because there are some chunks on this list, but I'm excited about a lot of these, and this is going to be a fun experiment, so I hope that you guys enjoy coming along on this journey with me. I will leave timestamps in the description if you want to know about a very specific book. I'll leave that down below if you just want to skip to that, but I hope you enjoy this journey. I hope I enjoy this journey. I just realized that all of these titles are upside down. That's fine. I hope you enjoyed this journey with me. Let's get started. What am I going to read first? I'm probably going to read the book for Michelle, The Bear and the Nightingale. That's what I'm going to read first because I'm planning on reading that in January anyway. So, that's my plan. I hope you enjoy. Come along on this journey with me. This lighting is awful. Just utterly horrendous. Anyway, hello. It is the 20th of January. Has it been a week since I did that? Maybe it's only been a couple of days. I honestly have lost all track of time. But I am here because I actually started a book, and I thought I would tell you my thoughts so far because I got another one in the mail, and I know this is one of the ones that is part of this challenge. I have officially started The Bear and the Nightingale by Catherine Arden, which was the book that I picked for Michelle from Books Michelle. It was also already on my January TBR, so yay. I'm quite literally 2 chapters in, which is 13 pages, I want to say. Like, it's not very much into the book, but I can already tell that I'm gonna like her writing style. I understand what people think, like, when they say that her writing style is very, like, atmospheric. I cannot get this box open. But yeah, so it's super atmospheric. It reminds me of, like, there we go, of, like, what you would expect a fairy tale to sound like. So that's the vibes I get from it. I haven't read enough to really have an opinion about it, but I am excited to get into it. I just wanted to mention that I've actually started that book, so that's my first one of this challenge. So the one that came in the mail, ooh, this is thicker than I thought it was going to be, is the 5th season by N.K. Jemisin, which is the one that I picked for Ashley from a Frolic Through Fiction. But this came in the mail today, so we've got, oh, it's super floppy, that's fun, which I think actually I might pick up this one relatively soon as well. I'm excited about this one, but that's my update. I don't really have a whole lot to tell you. I just wanted to tell you that I started the book. Hello. It is a date. It is the 28th of January, and I am, 60-ish% of the way through. I did a lot of reading yesterday, or like listening, because I was listening to the audiobook yesterday. I'm hoping to maybe finish it today or tomorrow. We shall see. But I don't know, I'm liking it, kind of. It has incredible writing. Like, I think I mentioned that earlier when I like first told you I was reading this book. Its writing is incredibly lyrical. It's incredibly atmospheric. You really can see what's happening, and because they live in a very like cold place, you get cold as well. But like, I don't have a lot of opinions about it because I feel like I'm not even sure what's happening. So I don't want to say obviously too much because spoilers, but there's this, I don't know, it is a character study, but it's not a character study. And like, I kind of feel bad for the stepmother. Like, she's a jerk. Don't get me wrong. She's awful. We do not like her. But she at least has like somewhat of a backstory so that it makes sense as to why she's doing the things that she is doing. And maybe I can give you like a little bit of a better like synopsis of the book, because when I went in I didn't really know a whole lot. But it basically follows our main girl. Wow, I don't even know her name. Vasya. That's like a shortened version. I don't remember what her long name is. But she is the last child of her mom. Her mom dies not in childbirth, but like her mom dies relatively soon after she gives birth. And so she's the last kid, and she kind of is very free-spirited, and so the dad decides that he's gonna go out and get a wife so that, you know, she has a mom to take care of her because all of her sisters are grown. Her nurse, who I always assumed was like her grandmother, but I don't think she's actually related. I think she's just like a nurse, has like a very motherly figure in her life. And so like, she's getting very old. She was old for this kid's mom. And so he goes out and gets married, but he gets married to this woman because basically the prince tells him to, because there's some kind of royalty in here, which I don't understand. And this woman is very devout, but she can see these like spirits that are guarding this town, as can our main character. And so you're kind of watching as this girl is discovering what's going on around her town, but then like this woman comes and she interprets all of these like beings as devils. She like gets really close and kind of worships the like priest in the town. Also, the town gets a new priest, and so like you're following him, and like he is horrendous as a person, but he's fascinating. And like anytime he comes up, I'm like actually interested in what's happening. And I feel bad because he's like the only character I am caring about, and he's like the bad guy. don't know what that says about me. But I don't know, like, I don't know what it is about this book. Like, it's okay, but I don't have any, like, strong opinions about it. I'm predicting it'll be like a 3 to 3.5. That's kind of my prediction, being a little over halfway through. The ending could totally surprise me. Who knows? So, that's kind of where we're at with that one. I will check in whenever I finish it, because hopefully I'm trying to finish it relatively soon, because obviously it's one of the books that I wanted to read in January anyway. Yeah, not the best one to start off with, but I don't know what the ending holds. The endings do make a good impact on me. I wouldn't say that they completely change my opinion on the book based on just the ending, but sometimes if the ending is really good, it gets a half star to a star more than it would normally. That's kind of where I'm at. I'll let you know my thoughts. Probably the next time I update you will be when I finish The Bear and the Nightingale. Fingers crossed, because, like, I kind of just want to be done. That's where I'm at now, so I hope the ending is okay to the point where I'm not, like, slugging through, you know what I mean? Hello! I feel like a grandma in this shawl, but like a hip grandma, you know what I mean? Anyway, so, how you doing? It is the next day, and I'm here to wrap up my thoughts on The Bear and the Nightingale, because I did end up finishing it, and I think I gave it 3.5 stars. No, I gave it 3 stars, which feels appropriate considering how, like, iffy I was feeling, and even when it was just, like, I'd only made it just about halfway. Like, this was good in its own sense. I think it just isn't the story for me, and I don't think that's any kind of relation to the booktuber that I picked for this, which was Michelle from Books Michelle. But yeah, I don't have a whole lot more to say beyond what I said yesterday. There was this kind of undead plot that sort of happened all of a sudden, and not a huge fan of that. I don't like the undead plot line unless, like, I know it's coming. This, I had no idea, and it just kind of, like, took a turn at the end, and I'm still not sure what happened. I think I was too confused for most of this book to even kind of, like, comprehend what was happening, which probably hindered my enjoyment. If I had understood what was going on more, maybe I would have liked it more, but it was just kind of okay. When we were getting into, like, the last, like, 10% of the book, I was like, are we done yet? I just want to be done. And one thing I think is really interesting is, like, the 2 things that people say about this book is that it is a character development story, and it is slow-paced. And those are both things that I don't like. However, I didn't feel like this book was either of those. I felt like, yes, we spanned our main character Vasia's life, but it wasn't like no plot was happening. Like, things were happening. It was just like she was obviously the main focus. But then at the same time, I felt like it had its slower moments, but it didn't feel like it was a very slow-paced book. It felt like it was a normal book, which had fast moments and slow moments. Like, I don't get the slow feeling plot line that I've heard people say about this book. So I can't even pinpoint why this didn't really work for me. It just didn't, and I don't think I really connected to any of the characters. Yeah, like, I don't know if it's because, like, they're gonna talk about some of this stuff in later books, but I feel like not a lot was answered by the end, which I guess makes sense considering it's the first in a trilogy, but, like, I don't know, it was just okay. Like, I didn't have any strong opinions about it. So this one was kind of a miss for me, but that's okay. But with that being said, we need to pick our next book that we're going to be reading, and I think, mostly because I got the audiobook for this from the library, which is going to expire soon. I think I'm going to go actually with the 5th season by N.K. Jemisin. Like I said, because I do have the audiobook from the library, and I think I'm going to need that to get through this. But also, this is one of the, like, chunkier ones on this list, and I like to get a couple chunky ones out of the way. But also, like, I'm really curious about this one. So this was my pick actually from a Frolic Through Fiction, and I'm really excited about it. I've heard some amazing things about this. So this is also a first in a trilogy, and let's hope that this one is better than the last one. I think it will be, mostly because, like, I've heard just, like, so many interesting things about this, but also, like, I don't know anything going in. which is kind of like how everyone says that you should go in. Like, even the back is like, that's the synopsis, is these like 3 lines right here, and it tells you nothing. So it's going to be an interesting experience, but I think this is the one that I'm going to pick up next for this little vlog. And I'll let you know when I start it, and my thoughts on it as we go along. Hello, it is, what day is it? The 3rd of February, working from home today, but I thought that I would come on here and give you some updates. So it's been a little bit since I came on here to talk about this book with you, but I honestly didn't have much of an opinion about the book, which is The 5th Season by N.K. Jemisin. I didn't have a lot of opinions about this until yesterday. I had started it near the end of last week, and then I didn't really do anything with it, and then I listened to it a lot. And I started listening to it over the weekend, and then a lot on Monday, and I got to about 40% of the way through, and I was liking it, I was enjoying it, I just had no idea what was happening. The magic system completely confuses me, and it still kind of does, but not nearly as bad. But like, I was completely confused, and so like, I had not really any opinions about this book beyond I'm enjoying my time reading it, but I don't know what's happening, and that didn't feel like it warranted an entire update, so I didn't do anything. But then yesterday I listened to a chunk of it, and I am 70% of the way through, so I'm about here, which is 332 pages. It is chapter 18. I devoured it yesterday. Things started to click into place for me, and then I also realized that there's an appendix in the back of this book. Actually, there are 2. That explains the magic system a little bit, or at least it's kind of like a glossary where it explains some of the terms from the magic system, which I feel like it's going to help a lot. So I think I'm going to read that at some point today, just because I feel like there's parts that I'm missing. But this book is incredible. I see why everyone loves it now. It's not quite 5 stars for me yet, but again, I've got like still a good chunk of the book left to go, so things could happen still. But I'm gonna see if I can try to explain this without like spoiling anything. So like, if you don't want to know anything about this book, which is what most people say going into it, then I'll put like a timestamp here. I'm not going to spoil anything about this book, obviously, but I'm going to explain a little bit more about the structure. So if you don't want to know anything about this book, go here. But this book is told in multiple points of view. I mean, it's not multiple points of view. We have a young girl who is magical, and I don't remember the exact word, but she's part of this group of people that are very oppressed in this world. They have magic, but like, because of that, they're thought as super dangerous because their magic is tied to the earth. And so we follow this girl who is going off to kind of train, and then we follow this woman who has been trained, and she's kind of going off on a big adventure. And then we have this other woman, who is you. And so the rest of this book is in 3rd person, but those chapters are in, I think it's 2nd person, because the narrator is talking directly to the reader as if you are this person. And so it switches back and forth, which is actually really fascinating. But I can't really like explain the plot, and I understand why people have big issue explaining what this book is about, so no one does. Because like, there's so much, this entire story is like shrouded in this like incredible mystery, but it all revolves around the 5th season, which is considered, I interpret this as like, there's a ton of 5th seasons, but they are reoccurring kind of like natural disasters, and each one is different. Appendix A charts out all of the 5th seasons, so like, it goes through and tells you each season and kind of what happens during it. Gives you a little bit of history behind this world. So I think if you have a physical copy or an ebook and you've got appendixes, or like, you know, in the back of your book, I think suggest reading these first, because then you won't be like me and you'll be like confused for more than half of this book. So we're going to do that, and hopefully that'll clear some things up, because a lot of my confusion was with the magic system and the world that we were in, and it still kind of is, but not nearly as bad as it was. So I'm really enjoying it. I think it's very well done. There's definitely stuff that I've missed from the beginning because I was so confused about what was going on. But now that I kind of know what's going on, I feel like at some point going back and rereading the beginning will make things make more sense. But yeah, we're just following these 3 points of view, and yesterday I just got to a connection between 2 out of the 3, which makes me have lots of theories about the connection between the third one, if there's even a connection between them. But there's definitely a connection between 2 out of the 3, and it's, I don't know, it's fascinating. And I just like learning about this world. It took a while to get into. It's a very slow moving beginning to get you into the story because there's so much kind of like world building-esque type of things that she has to do to kind of build this up. But at the same time, things are happening, so it's not as built up as you would originally have thought. But I am enjoying my time reading it. I can't believe I only have this much left because I feel like there's so much story left, which means obviously I've got to get my hands on to 2 and 3. But yeah, that's kind of where I am. I'm real close to getting to the end, so hopefully I will finish this one today. Because I'm now at a point where I just want to continue reading it. It took me a while to get there. The beginning was so, and like I don't want to say slow because like it wasn't slow. Things were happening. I think it was just slow for me, and so it made me like when I was reading it, I was having fun, but I didn't like go out of my way to pick it up. Now we've learned some things. I've got some intel. I'm invested, and like I just want to keep reading because I need to know answers. So that's where we're at. I'm definitely enjoying this one. I'm really glad that I picked this one up. So we're going to continue this one today. Maybe you'll see me later today. Maybe you'll see me tomorrow. Who knows? I'm going to continue listening to this audiobook. I need answers. I just need answers. So I just finished this book. I think I'm broken. So I'm not entirely sure what happened at the very, very end of this book, but this was amazing. I very much, I really enjoyed this. I had theories about how all 3, I think I mentioned it last time I talked to you guys, that I had theories about how all 3 of the POVs within this book were going to connect. And after the first connection, I was like, oh, I think I know what's going to happen with the next connection. If we see it, we did. And I was correct. It was a great moment. I don't know where we can go. Like, this took on like a full-on dystopian kind of sci-fi, possibly twist for the next book. I don't really know what happened. All I know is I need to keep going. So this was such a great book. I'm really glad that I ended up picking this one up. This one was my pick for Ashley from her Frolic Through Fiction, who I had a feeling I was like, she and I have a lot of the similar feelings about books anyway. We like a lot of the same things, and I figured that whatever I picked for her was going to be great. I've heard really good things about this book before I went into it, but I really wasn't sure what I was getting into. But it was great. I loved every second of it. I am now invested in this series. I have no idea when I'm going to continue with this series, but I know that I want to. I definitely want to read books 2 and 3. I need to know, because the way it sounded, and even in the author's notes, there seemed like there was a science fiction aspect to this book, and I feel like we haven't even touched on that yet. And that's really what book 2 is going to be about, because the synopsis for book 2 makes it sound like we're going to get a lot of answers. So I'm so glad that I picked this one up. But it was so great. Yeah, this, did I say what I got? This got 4 stars. Actually, it probably got closer to 4.5. I'm not entirely sure what my co-pile percentage is, but I'm sure it's closer to 4.5. But it was so good. I'm so happy and invested in these characters, and I need to know more. So this has now started a new series that I need to continue with. But that's my I finished this one. So 2 down. Yay. But that means that I need to pick out my third one that I'm going to read in this vlog. And I think I'm going to go with A Princess in Theory by Alyssa Cole, which is the First and the Reluctant Royals trilogy. I think this is going to be super easy to get through. It's a fun romance book. It's one that I've been meaning to get to for a very long time. I expect to like this. Like, going into it. Those are my expectations. I expect that this is going to be great. So I'm excited to get into it. Let's see what happens. I'm probably going to start this at some point today. So I'll come back after I've started it and tell you kind of my thoughts. But I do expect to get through this one relatively quickly. But this is my next read. So I'll talk to you when I have updates. Oh man, that book was so good. So I wanted to update you on my progress of A Princess in Theory. I am not quite halfway, almost halfway. I'm 150 pages in this book, so like very close to halfway, but like not quite. And I'm just flying through this book. I am really enjoying this. It is everything you expect from a contemporary romance, but like it has a lot more harder topics than I expected it to. Like our main character, Nalede, or Letty as she likes to be called, is in STEM, specifically with infectious diseases, which feels appropriate reading it kind of around COVID times, but she is first off a woman in STEM, which people don't look down on her for, but like kind of forget that she can do all the same things as everybody else in the lab, and because she's a woman doesn't mean that she is any less smart, I guess, than these other people. A lot of them actually kind of like act like she's their assistant, and she goes, I am exactly on the same level that you were on. Why are you, excuse me? And then you also got the fact that she is black on top of that, which is a whole thing in itself. So like you're seeing all of this as well as our main character, the main male character, Thabiso, who comes from a very, very, very wealthy family in Africa, obviously considering that he's the prince in this story, and like he comes from a place where like he's like super rich. So you have like the disconnect between her and her like struggling life of trying to like make ends meet, and then him who like it's very entertaining seeing them clash on a lot of things, because like she can tell he's like very, very rich. Like she doesn't know who he is. Where we're at in the book, she doesn't know who he is yet. Like he's still disguised to her a little bit, and like she can tell she thinks that he's like a trust fund baby. So like he has all of this like entitlement with him, and it's so entertaining watching the clash between their two kind of like social economic, I don't even know what the right word is, but like, you guys know what I mean. I wouldn't say class because like there's not really classes, but I guess class is the best way to describe it. So it's just really entertaining seeing these two. I am loving this. This is so much fun. This is putting me in like a romance mood, which is great because like I have all of these romances to read for my TBR in February, but like it's so good. It's so good. I understand why everyone loves these books now. I cannot wait to continue with this book. I will do it right after this, and I can't wait to continue with the other two in the series. It's great. I'm enjoying it a whole lot. So this is gonna be a good book. I'm very excited about it. But yeah, I just wanted to update you and tell you that I've read quite a bit of it, and I'm just like plowing through. I'm loving it. It's great. Hello. It's many, many days later. I honestly have no idea when the last I talked to you is, but it is a Thursday. I just got home. It's very gross outside, but I realized I hadn't actually updated you in a while, so I thought that I would do that because I finished A Princess in Theory this past weekend, and I ended up giving this one, I believe I gave it 5 stars. I did. It was such fun. It was a lot of fun. I got swept up with these characters. I don't know, like the stereotypical like baseline romance plot and where it ends was different than what happened here, and so it was just kind of really interesting to see her take on it. I've now gone and like bought a ton more books by this author because I had the main 3 in this series, but now I've purchased another series and the 2 short stories that go with this series. But technically you're supposed to read them after the 2nd book, but I kind of want to read them now. But I'll be a good person and wait. But yeah, this was so much fun. I don't really know if I have much else to say beyond what I said the last time, but it was a lot of fun. It was a good romance story. I became obsessed with this. Like I can't explain why I got sucked in, but I got sucked in. I like sat down and physically read this within like 3 days, I think, and it was just a lot of fun. So I expected to like this one, but I didn't expect to devour it as quickly as I did. So that's great. And like I said, now I'm obsessed with this author and I want to read all of the things by them. So have I discovered a new auto read author slash auto buy author? Possibly. We'll see. I'm going to continue because I've loved this. I think her development of these characters is very well done because you really, it's not surface level like you see in some romances. It's very like, we get to the root of who these people are, which I loved. So, oh, it's so good. I'm so glad that I read this one. So yes, 5 stars. I think that's my first 5-star of this video, right? I went from 3 to 4 to 5. Ooh, I'm really, really happy that I read this. So, I've officially finished A Princess in Theory, which was the book that I read for Lisa from Remarkably Lisa's channel. I loved it. She's a romance booktuber, so like, I love romance, so most things that she likes, I'm also going to like. So like, I wasn't really worried about my pick for her. But now I have to pick a new one, and I'm having a crisis because I wanted to pick up The Good Daughter next by Karen Slaughter, but I just read this book for my February TBR that is very similar in plot structure, I think, to this one. It takes place in a small town. It follows this girl who something happens to her when she's really young. Like there's an incident and her mom dies and her dad has become devastated. And so this girl, Charlotte, becomes a lawyer and she's the good daughter. But it's all about like what actually happened on this night. I think it's what's 28 years ago. But it's this small town keeping secrets feel. And that's what happened to the last one. I don't want to get those two confused. So I think I'm going to wait on this one and try to put a few more books between that one and this one. But this is the one that I wanted to pick up. But I think what I'm going to end up picking up is this one, which is Mr. Penumbra's 24-Hour Bookstore by Robin Sloan. This was the pick that I had for Maddie from Book Browsing Blog. And she's someone that I love to just watch her videos, but I have no idea if her tastes and mine align as well as like some of the other booktubers out there. Like I said, I think Ashley from Frolic Fiction and I are very, very similar. I think anything that Lisa is interested in, because it's romance, I love romance, so like I'm good with that. But there are some things that I enjoy that Maddie enjoys, but overall, she just reads a lot of things that I've never touched before. So I have no idea how this is going to go. But when she was describing this book, it just kind of stuck with me. And I couldn't think of anything else on this list except for this one, and I really wanted to try it out. So, we're going to see how this goes. It's not very long, so it probably won't take me very long. But it takes place in this bookstore, but it also has to do with, like, these customers who come in, but they never buy anything. They check things out, and it's all the suspicion that revolves around that. And I think it has to do with some sort of technology. So, I don't know, but, like, she didn't give a lot of information about the story, and I feel like the back doesn't give a lot of information either. Also, this book is heavier than you would expect a tiny book like this to be. Like, this almost feels as heavy as my copy of Crescent City. That might be saying a lot. So I think I'm going to go with this one, just because I don't want to, like, get this one confused with the other one. I just think that they're very similar and, like, the general plot structure. So, I'm going to start this one in the next day or two, probably. I will let you know my thoughts when I actually start it. I've never read anything by this author. I've never heard anything about this author. I literally have no idea going into this, except for what she said, and it kind of sounded interesting based on her recommendation. So, we're going to give it a shot. Also, I think she said that there's like some weird stuff that happens, and I don't do weird in books. Like, weird books and I don't mix as well as it does with some other people, so we'll see how this goes. But this is what I'm going to try next. I'll let you know what I think once I start it. Oh boy, okay, oh I should probably stop this. Goodbye. Hello, it is, I honestly have no idea when I talked to you last. This is a recurring theme. It is the next week sometime, probably. I think, considering when I think I started this, but I have officially finished Mr. Penumbra's 24-hour bookstore. This one was surprising, actually. I ended up giving this one 3.5 stars, but it was a very, very high 3-star. It was almost a 4, not quite, which feels accurate because, like, there are parts of this book that I really enjoyed, and there are parts that just, like, didn't work for me. I'm really excited that I did give this a shot because I would never have even heard of this book if I hadn't decided to do this project. Well, I might have heard of it, but I probably wouldn't have thought twice about it, and I definitely probably wouldn't have picked it up, for sure, if I hadn't had done this project. But this was my pick for Maddie from a book browsing blog, which I think I've said like 10 times during this video. This book was, I loved the plot. That's really the biggest thing for me, was the plot was fantastic. It is not what you expect going into it, and you kind of want to go in not really knowing anything, which is what I did. I knew very little about this plot, and like even on the back when I've read the synopsis, it doesn't really tell you a whole lot about kind of what's going on. It just kind of tells you that there's this guy whose name is Clay who works in like the tech field, and he somehow loses his job because I don't even remember how. It was like not even his fault. It was like the business crumbled or the business expanded and they didn't need him anymore. Something like that. I realize that those are polar opposites, but it was something that like wasn't his fault. It was the business's fault. And he decides that he really, really needs this job, and so he finds this ad for a clerk at this bookstore called Mr. Penumbra's 24-hour bookstore. And it starts off this whole thing where he's like basically being very observant of the type of patrons that come in, because you've got two types of patrons. You've got like the first one, which is just the casual customer, happens to walk in during the day and is just looking for whatever's there. And then you've got kind of this other, on the flip side, this other section of people who come in with kind of like, it's kind of like a library system where they check out specific books, and he calls them the Wayback books, and those are the books that are up on the shelves. It's kind of like Beauty and the Beast aspect of like big library ladder, and so like the casual observer will come in and only look at the very, very bottom, and those are the books they check out. The other ones will come in and the only books that they will get are the ones at the very top of the shelves. And so he's just kind of like observing these things and seeing all the peculiar things that this Mr. Penumbra, the owner of the store, is kind of doing, and in doing so, it like sets him off on this whole world of like secret societies. And that was really fascinating. There's definitely some parts of this, like, there's kind of like a mystery plot as well, and there is some parts of that that I don't think I fully grasped. Like, I don't think I fully understand kind of what I read, but it's really fascinating. I loved the plot of this. It's a very short book, but it packs a whole lot in this book. My problem with this book was I didn't jive with the writing, and I'm not entirely sure why. It's a very simplistic way of writing. It's a very, I don't know, I don't even know how, like, I really don't even know how to explain what didn't work, because like simplistic writing is fine. I don't have a problem with simplistic writing, but it didn't have, I guess, the lyricalness to it that I'm used to with like fantasy writing and other things like that. So it didn't really work for me. It has a very technology focus throughout this book because our main guy is into technology. Like, that's his thing, and kind of what sparks this plot is him like dabbling in technology for this bookstore. And I don't know, like it was such an interesting book that I don't really know what to think about it. I love the plot, but I didn't love the writing. That's kind of like the general set consensus I got from this book. It was just interesting because I've never seen a book that deals with secret societies that's not like a fantasy book. This is straight up a contemporary book. And it was just really interesting. So if you are like technology minded, or you're really into like, I don't know, a lot of this takes place with people who work at Google, for example. And I don't know how accurate some of these situations are, but I like to think that they're pretty accurate. And it just gives you kind of a different idea of, if they are accurate, the people who work at Google. It's just really interesting. So I'm glad I gave this a shot. Like I said, it wasn't quite a 4-star, but the plot was so good that it was like this close. I really enjoyed this book. I did. I'm glad I gave it a shot. Like I said, I don't think I would have ever tried this book out if I hadn't have done this project. So that's really interesting. I'm glad I read this. I might make some other people read it, just because it's kind of fascinating. But yeah, that's my thoughts on this one. I guess I'm gonna do The Good Daughter next. So yeah, I think I've put enough distance. Wow. I think I've put enough distance between the last mystery book that's very similar to this and this one. So I'm gonna give this one a shot next. It's quite large, but I think that's just because it's in this mass media paperback style. So we'll see. But it does take place, oh yeah, the margins are really tiny. So, or the text is not, what am I trying to say? The pages are tiny, as in like, there's not a lot of text on them, so I think I can get through this really quickly. Oh man, am I gonna have to break this spine? Probably. I don't mind broken spines, I just don't want to break them myself. You know? Anyway, so yeah, this is a mystery that takes place in a small town, and it follows our main character, Charlotte, or Charlie, and she's the good daughter, but something happens 28 years ago that has torn the family apart and left the mother dead, and so it's, like I said, 28 years later, and Charlie is following her dad's footsteps by becoming a lawyer, but then something happens, and like, the whole town is shocked by tragedy again. So it's kind of like the same situation repeating itself, but we don't know what that situation was. So I'm really intrigued to read this because, like I said, it's very similar general structure-wise to the book that I read recently. But it sounds like this one's going to be more of a thriller than a mystery, and that one was like pure mystery. It didn't really have much thriller to it. It says 2 girls are forced into the woods at gunpoint. One runs for her life, one is left behind. I am intrigued. So this is what I'm going to try out next. This was my pick for Serena from A Wandering Mind. She decided to read a ton of thrillers in 2020, and this was her favorite. So I'm gonna give it a shot. This cover kind of freaks me out a little bit. I'm not gonna lie. I think it's just because the shadow. Like, this feels very ominous. But I do have an audiobook of this from the library. So that's my next book. I'll let you know my thoughts when I start it. Hello, it's been, I really hope you can't hear my very squeaky board. It's been a while. I have no idea when I updated you last that I was going to be starting The Good Daughter, but I haven't started it. Well, I started it today. I hadn't started it until today. I got 32 pages into it, and I think I have to put this down. I'm not going to get rid of it, I don't think. Well, we'll see. Just because, like, it was very brutal, and it was just a level of brutal that, like, I couldn't get past it. I felt really uncomfortable listening to it, and we're not even in chapter 1 yet. We are talking about, like, the very first section is like 28 years before, that tells what happened to our main character's mom and sister, and it's really, really, really gross, for lack of a better word. It's gory, which isn't great for me. I'm super, super squeamish. I don't like reading gory things, but also just like some of the comments that the bad guys make towards this girl's younger sister made me really uncomfortable, and so I don't think I can do it. I'm not gonna say no to this, as in, like, maybe once I get into the genre a little bit more, read a little bit more mysteries, a little bit more thrillers, maybe I'll give this a shot again. But as of right now, I can't do it. It makes me cringe. It makes me, like, gag. No. So yeah, I don't think that one's gonna work for me. I'm really sad because I thought this was gonna be really good. It's at a level that I'm just not comfortable with, not there yet. I'm not sure what it is, but I can't, which is really sad, because this one was for my really good friend Serena, and I wanted to trust her opinions, and I'm sure it gets better, but for me, I just couldn't get past the beginning, so I think we're just gonna have to put this away, maybe for another day. we'll see. So that's a little bit of a disappointment, but I am excited about the last book that I have to read for this vlog, which is Crescent City, House of Earth and Blood by Sarah J. Maas. This is my pick for Becca from Becca and the Books, who I love her channel. And she and I align on a lot of stuff, but one of her favorite authors is Sarah J. Maas, which is an author that I've never tried, but I think I would really, really enjoy. So this is a thick boy. It's super, super heavy. The pages are like paper thin. But I do have an audiobook and Audible, so I'm hoping to give this one a shot in the next couple of days. Well, maybe after this weekend. We'll probably start it sometime next week. So yeah, this is my last book for this readathon, or for this reading vlog that I'm doing, but I'm actually really, really excited about this one. I was super nervous going in, but like, this book is stunning, and the more I read and learn about these books and her writing, the more excited I get. So this is an urban fantasy, and I know a little bit about what I'm getting into, but I don't know a whole lot about what I'm getting into, which is totally fine with me. I know that the like romance in here is like super slow burn, and that there is like, this is just the first in a series, so like, I want to be, my goal from doing this is that I'm going to turn into one of those people that like the minute she releases a new book, I drop everything I'm reading and read that. I don't have a lot of authors like that, I've realized, and I feel like she's going to be that author for me. Like, do you know how many people dropped everything that they were doing for her new book in the ACOTAR series? And I wanted to be part of that crowd, and I was not, because I haven't read anything in that world. So I'm really excited about this one. I'm excited to give it a shot. Hopefully we'll end this reading challenge with a bang. I'm really disappointed about The Good Daughter, but I think it's going to be a good decision to just drop that one now instead of trying to force my way through it. And then maybe it'll get better, who knows. But this is my next and final book of this vlog. I'm excited to get into it. So I will come back to you when I have officially started this book. I'm actually really excited. I'm really excited about this. Hello, it's been a few days. I think I talked to you during the weekend or Friday or something. It sounds like that. But I have updates about Crescent City. I started this on Monday. It's currently Wednesday. I started this Monday. I read about 140 pages and I was really enjoying it. I didn't think it would be a new favorite, but I was, you know, like, I was invested relatively early in these characters. And then yesterday, I read over 400 pages, I want to say, and now I am, it has me heart and soul. I am obsessed with this book. It is so good, but like, it has me. It's grabbed me, and I'm there. So I am probably like 75% of the way done. I am on page 548. There's about 800 pages in this book, so about here. But like, it's gotten to the point of like, last night my husband and I were watching TV and I had this book open in front of me so that during commercials I could read a page. That's how obsessed I am. Let me tell you I guess I should tell you a little bit about what this is about. So this takes place in a world where like every kind of mythical creature you could think of exists. Our main character, Bryce, is half fae, half human, and then our other main character, Hunt, is a fallen angel, so he's got like these gigantic wings. Also in this world, there are vampires, humans, werewolves, merpeople, sprites, fairies, literally any demons. Like, there's so many like different types of mythical creatures, I guess is the best way to phrase it, in this world. I will say that I don't fully understand the like government or ruling class of this world, because like, it sounds like the angels and like the archangels are in charge of everything, but I can't tell if that's because one of our characters is a fallen angel, so obviously like his superiors are archangels and stuff, or if they actually are in charge of the world, or if it's just a bunch of little like groups of people. So like, for example, like there's a king, or like, because there's a king like of the fairies in here, but like there's also, they don't talk about the vampires a lot, but like, is there someone who's in charge of all the vampires? I don't really know how, like, as far as the ruling and the government in this world goes, I don't fully grasp it. I don't know if it's something that was on earlier on and I just missed it, I'm not sure. Like, it's not hindering my enjoyment. Obviously, I'm obsessed with this book. But it's like one thing that I'm like, did I miss something? Or am I just not quite understanding? So that's my only kind of complaint about this book. There is an underlying mystery within this book as well, which I really am enjoying. The whole point of this book is we've got our main characters, Bryce and Hunt, who are investigating these series of murders together. And they're connected somehow, and they're not quite sure how they're connected, but they're connected to something that happened to Bryce in Bryce's past. This book takes place, like, the first 100 pages are kind of like in the past, and then the rest of the book is 2 years later. So, it's, I don't know, it's very, very interesting. I'm trying to be very vague about it because some of the things that I've heard about this is in the synopsis on, like, the dust jacket, there's something mentioned really early on that, like, I'm glad I knew going into it, but I've heard people, including Becca, who's the reason I'm reading this book, say that that's kind of a spoiler and they wish that they hadn't known that going in. So I'm trying to not say that specific thing, but if you've read the book, you kind of know what I'm talking about. But I'm glad that I knew that going in. It kind of gave me a jumping off point of, like, where this story was headed. But, like, I don't know if I just didn't process that this was going to be kind of like a murder mystery, but it's kind of like murder mystery vibes, and I'm loving it because, like, I don't know, like, they're investigating these series of murders, so they're trying to connect them together, they're trying to figure out what's going on in the world, and I love it. I love every second of it. And also, their relationship is glorious, because, like, we're here, and they haven't even had, like, a real moment yet. They've only had, like, glimpses and possibilities, and, like, there's been multiple times where they've gone this close to, like, kissing, but then, like, something happens or something comes in and interrupts them, and, like, usually out of, like, I don't know, in romance books that would annoy the crap out of me. It feels appropriate here. But I am really enjoying this book. It is gonna get 5 stars from me, for sure. I understand why people are obsessed with this book. I understand. I get it. And I'm so excited to continue with this author, Sarah J. Maas's other work, because I think it's gonna be fabulous. But, like, this is good. This is top notch. And it's funny because, like, it's an adult book, but it's written in a way that's very digestible. I've read some adult kind of high fantasy before, and it has a lot of confusion and a lot of very complex magic systems, and this seems very digestible. Everything makes sense. You're kind of learning about the world as you go through, and there's not just a gigantic dump at the beginning. I mean, there is somewhat of a dump at the beginning because, like, it's a fantasy, you need something like that, but it's not too much, and it's layered in really well, I think. So I love this. It's great. I'm so glad that I read this. I didn't think I would be this invested, but I am. I'm obsessed, and I'm going to continue to read. And let's be honest, there's a very good chance I could finish the last, like, 300 pages in today. Even though I have other things that I need to do, but there's a very good chance. So yeah, I'm on chapter 60. There are 99 chapters, I think. 98 chapters and then, like, an epilogue, so, like, 99 chapters. But yeah, I'm invested. I think this is great. I cannot wait to continue reading. And now I need more things. Now I need to start the Ekatar series is what I am finding, because I'm sure that's going to be great. But, ooh, how is this going to end? I don't know. It's a journey, and I'm ready to do. I'm ready for it. Hello, it is Thursday. I just got home from work, but I wanted to update you because I finished it. I finished this last night sometime, like right before bed, so probably about 11-ish. This got 5 stars. Are we at all surprised by how I reacted the last time I was talking about this? And then, of course, I went and watched the spoiler-filled book diary that Becca for Becca in the Books did on this book. I'd watched it before, like when she first released it, so I wasn't sure if I was ever going to read this book. And then I don't remember a daggum thing from it. So I watched it again last night, and I'm not quite sure how I watched it before, because, like, there is so much out of context if you don't understand this book. She's just kind of like reacting to it. But the reason I bring it up is because if you guys watch that, I'll see if I can link it down below if you're curious. She had, like, all of her reactions were made, to be honest. This book was incredible. By the end of this book, I had all of the emotions, and I'm not saying that in a, it gave me all the feels. I mean, I legit, while reading this, cried, laughed, was happy, was upset, was stressed, was on the edge of my seat, celebrated with hands raised. Like, I did all of the things. This made me feel legit emotions, and I haven't had a book make me feel those strong of emotions in a long time. This book is already giving me a book hangover. I haven't had a book hangover in years, maybe. Like, there are books that, like, I think a lot about because I just finished them and they're great, but they don't give me, like, actual hangovers. I want to start this again. Like, I immediately want to reread it again. That's where I'm at. This was a great decision. I really enjoyed the characters. I really enjoyed all of the things that this author made me feel. Like I mentioned the last time I came on here, that like the governing system very much confused me. By the end, I kind of had a better understanding of what's going on, because like each kind of, I guess, species, for lack of a better word, has a ruling thing, king, queen, governor, whatever, and then above them is like this panel of 7 gods maybe that actually make all the decisions, but like you can't do anything without their permission, I guess. So like in this book, all of the leaders by the end of it come together for this big summit, and they can't start the summit unless they get permission, and the 7 leaders kind of like video in and give them permission to start. So they run everything by these leaders, but they kind of rule on their own. It's all very corrupt. So you get that feel in here. I kind of got a better understanding, like I said, at the end of this. Her writing was incredible. What I loved about this book is there's still some overarching questions for the plot, but a lot of the stuff that's brought up in this book is answered or tied up in some way, which I appreciated, because like I still have questions, but it didn't feel like there was a ridiculous cliffhanger either. So like, who knows when the second book in the series is going to come out, and we're going to have lots of questions hopefully answered in the next couple of books. I think there's 3 in the series, I'm not sure, but I don't feel like I feel like I'm okay waiting, you know what I mean? So I still have questions, but no cliffhanger, which I appreciated, and I really liked this book. This one, I know we're only in March, but so far I feel like this is my favorite book of the year so far, over the 2-ish months that I've read so far, and I had some really good reading in February. But I really enjoyed this book, and now I need more of these characters. I need more of this world. I'm invested. I'm whole, like, soul in invested. So this was a great choice. 5 stars. Amazing. I'm really glad I gave this a shot. Stunning, just stunning. So that is kind of the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed this 2020 Booktube favorite kind of secret TBR that I did. It had a lot of ups and downs, but we ended on a super high note, which is great. Oh, I couldn't be happier. So I hope you enjoyed this vlog thing that I did. Please let me know down below if you've read any of the books that I have mentioned. Make sure you go check out the people that I read their favorite books of 2020 of, because all of them are great people, and you should check all of them out if you don't know who they are already. Let me know if there's any kind of other themed TBR, secret TBR videos that you would like to see from me. I've got a couple in the back burner, but this was so much fun. I would love to do this again. But if you did like this video, and I very much hope that you did, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up and subscribe down below if you want to be part of this awesome growing family. I've also got all my social media as well as other fun bookish links, including all of the booktubes I mentioned in this video, so don't forget to go check all of those out. And I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!